Hey guys, and welcome back to this channel. This is HBS. I'm Approach Beauty and Skincare. If you're new here, you're welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And if you're a returning subscriber, I say thank you for always returning to this channel. How to work with your whitening actives in your formulation. That is what I'll be talking about in this video today. In this video, I'll be talking about some topics on how to work with your whitening actives in your formulation. Okay guys, so what I have in here, I have how to dissolve your whitening actives, stability, compatibility, pH range, sensitivity, effect, and content. So guys, first of all, I will talk about how to dissolve your whitening actives in your formulation. This is very essential, very important to dissolve whitening actives in your formulation. You don't just take your whitening actives and turn it into your formulation just like that without dissolving it. It's totally wrong. It will not be effective and it might cause some skin damages. So that is one of the reasons why it's essential for you to dissolve your whitening actives before or into your formulation. So these actives comes in varieties and their solubility differs. So take for instance, there are some whitening actives that are soluble in oil, while there are some whitening actives that are soluble in water. Some are soluble in alcohol, some are soluble in humectant, some are soluble in esters. So it depends on the whitening actives you're using. Take for instance, if you're using Snow White. Snow White originates from the Philippines and it has different type of solubility because it originates from different regions. So if you have a Snow White that originates from the Philippines, it is usually dissolved soluble in water. And if you have Snow White that originates from probably the Europe or the United Kingdom, in most cases it's usually soluble in alcohol or propylene glycol because they usually come in crystal form and it might be tough to dissolve. While there are some Snow White powder that is easily soluble in readily soluble in water. So that is what I'm trying to explain to you, that it depends on the kind of whitening active that you have, and it is very important for you to have a manufacturer's guide when you're working with whitening actives. What I mean by manufacturer's guide is if you buy a product, or when you buy an ingredient, a whitening active, you need to check the label for the content, the usage rate, like instructions from the manufacturers. So the manufacturer's guide will tell you this is soluble in water, this is soluble in oil. So that will be a guide to you. You don't dissolve, then you don't go ahead to dissolve an active that is soluble in water. You don't go ahead to dissolve it in oil. Do you understand? Because I've seen that online, when people get some whitening actives that is common, or the regular ones online, maybe kojic dipermutate, they just turn it into oil and believe that every kojic dipermutate is soluble in oil, which is totally wrong. There are some kojic dipermutate that are not soluble in oil. Do you understand? So you need to please check out your manufacturer's guide, or probably if you buy from a local source, you can just ask them what is the solubility of this ingredient. Is it soluble in water? Is it soluble in oil? If your supplier tells you that he or she does not know the solubility content or the solvent of that active, I would advise that you don't even use that active. That is the truth. Because if your active does not dissolve properly, it might be an issue in your formulation. Because I get so many questions. Why is it that my active is not dissolving? Why is it that it's this? Why is it that it's that? In fact, somebody told me some times ago, one of my ex-students, that she tried to dissolve licorice powder in water and it wasn't dissolving. She dissolved it with glycerin, dissolved it with all sorts of things. It wasn't dissolving. I asked her, did you try dissolving it with alcohol? She said no. So that is the main reason why you need manufacturer's guide when you are buying any whitening active. That is that about solubility. Then when it comes to sensitivity, some active are sensitive to hair, some are sensitive to light, some are sensitive to heat. So you need to know all of this before working with your actives. There are some of your actives, if you dissolve it in too much what's it called, if you dissolve it in too much high temperature, or too high temperature, it's just, you know, reduce the or neutralizes the effect of that active. Take for instance, if you are working with sim white, and it depends on where it originates from and the supplier's guide and all that, like I said earlier. But if you are working with sim white and you use too much heat to dissolve that sim white, you might just end up using just an ordinary powder. Your end product might not show or might not be effective. Your product might be okay, good, effective, but that sim white might not work in that product, and you as a person, you would not know about that. You just feel, okay, sim white is in my product and is working, whereas that sim white is totally neutralized. Do you understand? So that is what I'm trying to explain to you about sensitivity. And another thing that I'm explaining about, that I'll be talking about, is the pH range. The pH range. Each active has a pH range. If you are working with alpha arbutin, you know that alpha arbutin works from like 3 to 5.5. If you incorporate alpha arbutin in a product that the end product pH is above 5.5, alpha arbutin will be totally useless in that product. It will not work. Then you might start attacking your suppliers that their products, their active is not effective, the powder is not effective, maybe they mixed it or something. No, it is because your end product pH range is not within the pH range of alpha arbutin, and it will not be effective in that product. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain into details. Another thing I will go into is, when it comes to whitening active, another thing I will go into is your usage rate. Every whitening active has a usage rate from the manufacturer. So if you don't know the usage rate of your active and you overdo it, it might cause damage to your skin. And if you don't know the usage rate and you go below the lowest usage rate, it might not work. So you understand what I'm saying? You need to know the usage rate of your actives. If you are working with niacinamide, manufacturer's guide might say niacinamide should be used within the range of 3 to 10%. That does not mean that you should put 10% of niacinamide in your formulation. You can if you are not using any other whitening active. But there is something that is called the percentage of a base solution. Your percentage of your whitening actives in all your base solution has a range. It has a minimum and a maximum range. If you exceed it, your product might just go bad. Go bad in the sense that it might not be effective, and it might cause damage to the skin. So you need to know about how to use your whitening actives in the right proportion. How to use your whitening actives in the right proportion. You can combine 3, 4, 5 whitening actives depending on the usage rates. There are some actives, the likes of licorice. Licorice is very, very active. Like, it works like hydroquinone. We all know that. the likes of Giga White, they work like hydroquinone. We all know that. It depends on what you're combining them with. And if you're working with licorice and you exceed 1%, or maximum of 2%, depending on the manufacturer, because I have gotten some licorice from China and the maximum usage of that licorice is 1%. If you exceed 1%, you are going to damage your skin. If you exceed 1%, that active is going to eventually damage the skin. Do you understand? So that is what I'm explaining to you about usage rate. So in a nutshell, if you are working with whitening actives, you need to know the solubility, how to dissolve that active. Maybe if you are dissolving in water, in oil, in esters, in alcohol, in glycerin, humectant, or look out for is the stability of that active. Is it stable? Is it a stable active? Does it react? Is it sensitive to heat? Is it sensitive to air? You understand? So that will determine the type of packaging, the type of how to dissolve it and all that. And that is why you need your thermometer and your pH meter in all of your formulation. Another thing to look out for is your manufacturer's guide. The usage rate, the solubility, the sensitivity, the stability, the pH range, and the usage rate in a percentage. You need these things to work with your whitening actives. And I can bet it with you, if you put all of these things into consideration, your product will come out superb. Your product will come out, wonderful. If you are using authentic product from a legit supplier, not mixed, and you follow the manufacturer's guide, it works. That is just what I have to say. So guys, I would like you to, if you are watching up to this present moment, if you find this video helpful, I would like you to please subscribe to this channel and turn on notification bell, because this video is not going to stop here. I'm going to continue on this topic, and I'm going to be practicalizing these things I've talked about. I'm going to be teaching you in practical how to go about your whitening active, how to dissolve it, how to check the stability, how to check the solubility, how to check for the pH range, the usage range, and all that. I will be discussing this in my next video. So you want to please subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell so you get notified when next I make an upload. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you find it helpful, please don't forget to thumbs up for me. I will see you in my next video. Bye.